Hello everyone, myself Mohammad Ramiz. I welcome you all on behalf of Saraswati International Academy. My subject is social science, and today we are going to learn the part 5 of chapter number 1, that is Heritage of India. So students, up till now we have learned about the different tribes who have came to India. We have learned about Negro people, Australoid people, Dravidian people, and today's session we are going to learn about the Mongoloid, Alpine, Dinaric and Aryan people. These are also the tribe who have came and settled over here in India and Indianized themselves. So here you can see Mongoloid. They came to India from North China via Tibet and settled down at North Assam, Sikkim, Bhutan, West Bengal, etc. So here it means that people of Mongoloid have came to India from the North China and through the Tibet, and they settle in places like North Assam, Sikkim, Bhutan, West Bengal, etc. And see the next thing, they gradually Indianized themselves. It means that as the time had passed, they accepted the Indian culture and Indianized themselves. Now see the physical feature, how they used to look. See, they have a physical characteristics like yellow complexion. They have a yellow complexion, they have a flat face, chubby cheeks and almond shaped eyes. The image I have added so that you can get a more idea about it. So Mongoloid were of yellow complexion and they were known as Kirat people. So because they were having the yellow complexion, they were called as a Kirat. Now further we will see about the other tribes. See, Alpine, Dinaric and Armenoid. So these people have migrated from Central Asia and all these tribes have similarities. So these three tribes have came from Central Asia and all these three tribes Alpine, Dinaric and Armenoid were quite similar. See the next point, the origin of these tribes are found in large number in Gujarat, Saurashtra, Maharashtra, Bengal and Odisha. So it means that the origins of these tribes are found in a large number in Gujarat, Saurashtra, Maharashtra, Bengal and Odisha. The Aryans. The Nordic Aryan were the creator of Aryan civilization in India. So the Nordic Aryan created the Aryan civilization in India. Hindus were called Aryans in the ancient time and the area where they were densely populated was called Aryavarta. So the Hindus were called Aryans in ancient time, and the northwest area where the population of this Aryan was densely, it means in more proportion they are living, that place were called as Aryavrata. Now see the second point. As the seven rivers were flowing over there, that region was named as Sapta Sindhu. In ancient time, the first Aryan population was concentrated in the northwest. So the seven rivers used to flow in the Aryavarta region, and so that region were also known as Sapta Sindhu. And this Aryavarta region is lied in the northwest part of India. See the third point, the location is given. The area of Aryavarta was extended up to Mithila, Bihar in the east. In the east where Mithila in Bihar, and in south it spread up to Vindhyachal during the post-Vedic period. So they are saying that during the post-Vedic period the Aryavarta region was extended up to Mithila, Bihar in the east and up to Vindhyachal in the south. Now see the fourth point, they were more advanced people than any contemporary tribes. Contemporary tribes means the tribes which have came before. From them the Aryans were more developed. The vast land was recognized with various names as Bharat Bhumi, Bharatkhand and Bharatvarsha after the name of King Arya Bharat. So the vast region where the Aryans were spread was known with several names such as Bharat Bhumi, Bharatkhand, Bharatvarsha, and all these names were on the name of the king Arya Bharat. Now see the fifth point. Aryans were the nature lovers. They loved and worshipped the trees, the rivers, the mountains, the sun, the wind and the rain. They had composed hymns, richas, for praying to various natural elements. So this point says about that they loved and they worshipped the trees, river, mountain, sun, and wind and rain. And they also composed the richas for praying these various natural elements. Now see the sixth point. In due course of the time, some religious ceremonies like recitation of Vedas, performing yagnas and other activities become prevalent in India. And during the time of the Aryans only, Indian learned Indian learned to practice how to perform the specific religious ceremonies like recitation of Vedas and performing yagnas. So this was all about the Aryan tribe. Now we are going to see the conclusion note about all the tribes. See the first point. There was a fine amalgamation of those tribes with their specific style of living and harmonious culture was formed, which gave India a glorious and prosperous heritage. Amalgamation means all the tribes get mixed up. So we know that several tribes like Negroes, Australoid, Dravidian, Aryan and other came to India. All these tribes had their own different culture and tradition, but all of them have mutually exchanged their culture and tradition, and they get Indianized themselves, and and as a result, the India culture was get more prosperous because all get Indianized themselves and they mutual exchange their ideas. Now see the second point. These foreigner and Indian tribes amalgamated in such a way over a long period of time. Amalgamated means they get mixed up with each other that they lost their individual identity, and as a result the intercaste marriage was also started between them. Now see the third point. Outsiders and local people were greatly influenced by language, creeds, names and religious belief, etc., and this played an important role in Indianizing these foreigners. So it means that language, scriptures, religious beliefs and practice, etc., were also shared between Indians and the foreign tribes. Now see the fourth point. They all then became Indians. In short, in ancient India, the amalgamation of various culture enriched Indian culture by making it varied and prosperous. So all this lead to Indianizing of foreign tribe and creation of a composite culture in India, and gradually people of almost all the tribes became Indians and made the Indian culture highly diverse, rich, great and prosperous. So till now we have seen that Indian heritage and culture is glorious and prosperous. So now our new topic, how to preserve and conserve this heritage. So see the first point. Each aspect of Indian heritage made India eye-catching and attractive. So each and every aspect of the Indian culture and heritage, if you will see, it makes India as an eye-catching and attractive. Heritage brought glory to the India, and India attained a leading position in the world by keeping its rich heritage protected and preserved. So we all know that many of the tribe have came to our country, and as a result, they amalgamate with each other, and the richness of artists and their works and trade and commerce have prosperous. And our heritage and culture have brought us tremendous glory and prosperity and worldwide appreciation. So it is our moral duty to protect the heritage. See the second point. Thus it is a primary means basic duty and pious duty of every citizen to see that nobody harms the ancient memorials, and also to preserve places having historical importance and values. So here it is saying that it is our moral duty and primary duty to preserve and conserve our heritage. Every citizen of India should see to it that nobody harms the ancient memorials, and also to preserve the places having the historical importance of value. And in the fundamental duties in the constitution, in the article 51A subsection 679, the different duties of Indian citizens towards the preservation of culture was shown. See the first duty: to understand the importance of our harmonious culture, prosperity and preserve it. So first of all, we have to understand the importance of our culture. Then only we will have that feeling to preserve and conserve it. So first of all, we have to. It is the duty of every citizen to understand the importance, of our harmonious culture and prosperity, and understand how we have to preserve them. We have to know that how we can preserve this heritage. Now see the second point: maintain the forest, tank, river, pond and wild animals and birds, along with maintaining the natural environment, and to show the compassion, to show the love for all the living creature. So here it is said that citizens should maintain the natural environment. Citizens should maintain the natural environment such as forest, tank, river, pond and wild animal and birds. They should be compassionate towards living creatures. That Indian citizens should have the love for the living creatures. Now see the third point: the protection of public property and giving up violence are also included in it. Protection of public property means that the things which are of government, which are used by everyone, so that things should be protected, and we all the citizens of India should not be indulged in any kind of violence. Now we are going to see the conclusion. Now the fourth point: thus nature has created beautiful landscapes. So this we have seen in the natural heritage. About we have taken the example of Himalayas, that it is a great resources towards the India. It is contributing a lot environmentally also, and it is giving different resources which are helpful to the human beings. So we should maintain the purity, sanctity and beautiful of these places, considering it to be our moral duty. So it is our moral duty that whatever the natural heritage and the cultural heritage which is gifted to us by the God and the our ancestors respectively, so it is our moral duty to preserve all these things. Nature has generously donated abundant prosperity to India. So nature have given us abundant means in huge amount, in excessive prosperity to India. Nature has given us a lot of resources which is very necessary for the development of the country. See the next point, sixth point: India achieved invaluable opportunities in all the fields for gradual development due to India's peculiar natural structure. So students, in every aspects in the development, we require the minerals and the resources, and India is one of the country which is having these resources in abundance, and because of that reason only we are ahead in the different aspects of development. So it is our moral duty that whatever the God have gifted to us, the nature, so it is our duty to preserve this resources and nature. Now see the seventh point: in this way the Indian heritage is a result of the development of the people of India in the social, economical, political and cultural fields over centuries. So here it is said as in a conclusion that Indian heritage is a result of the development of the people of India, and socially India is developed economically, politically and in the cultural fields from the centuries we have developed because of our rich heritage and prosperous culture.